Let's talk about how the month of September went for our homeschool. Welcome back to this House of Walls. My name is Ashley, and on this channel I love to share all things homeschooling and books, and today is homeschooling. There is a glare on my glasses, but it helps when I wear them, so we're going to try to work through the glare. I'm excited to share how our homeschool went for the month of September. Overall, it was a very good month. I think the only kind of hiccup that we had was that one week, both my kids were sharing a cold, and then the following week, one of my kids had another cold. So that just kind of threw things off. It is the weekend as I'm filming, and so my oldest, who had the cold twice, he is still catching up on some schoolwork just so that we can start the new week nice and ready to go. And you know, if we have to do a little bit of work on the weekends, that's fine. If he was in public school, he would be doing middle school homework on the weekends. So I'm fine with it. And he is too. Now, last month I did like a whole big subject by subject how everything was going. I'm not going to do that this month. I think every other month will be like a big how everything is going. So for September, I'm just going to hit some highlights. I'm going to talk about books that we read, some favorites, and I have one update on a curriculum, and that's it. Actually, before I start talking books and stuff, we did start our co-op in September, and so that was so fantastic to be back at our co-op. Both kids are taking 2 classes, and so it is a full day on Thursdays. It's so much fun. They're really enjoying their classes. So my 4th grader is doing an creative art class, and he's having so much fun with that. And then he is also doing an intro to physics, and again, he is in love with that. So those are both going really, really well. My 8th grader is doing kind of like the history of video games. So they are really kind of starting at the beginning and talking about the development of video games. And so, of course, he's having a blast with that. And then he is also doing a science class all about the Chesapeake Bay, since we live right next to the Chesapeake Bay. So I think that is such a fun class for him to do. We actually just went on a field trip this past Friday, so I'll see if I can put some pictures up here of that. And it went great. It was a lot of fun, and so we are so happy to be back at co-op. All right, now to really get into stuff. So before I start with the kids, I'm going to start with me. This is the self-education unit by Emily Cook, who does Build Your Library. So this is for grown-ups that are homeschooling, to just continue their education. That is such a big part of Charlotte Mason, is that the parents are learning too. I did a whole flip through of this, and it's fantastic. The problem is me. Not this, this is fantastic. I just have to find a time in the day for this. I kept thinking, oh, I can just get up early and do it first thing in the morning. No. The mornings are just getting darker, and I don't want to jump out of bed at 6 in the morning. So I'm not quite sure when I will devote time to this, but I really want to. I haven't even made it through week 1, and it's all me. So I'm hoping that for the month of October, I figure out when I can work this into my days. Even if I do a bunch on the weekends, that would be great, but I'm not sure. And then I have a curriculum update. So Writer's Workshop by Layers of Learning. We have been using this from the beginning of the year. For the month of September, I did pull my 8th grader off of it. It was just a scheduling conflict where I couldn't get them together to do this at the same time because it is a family style curriculum. But I think I have figured it out, and I have pulled him back on for the new unit. So in September, my 4th grader and I did sentences, paragraphs, and narrations, and that went great. my fourth grader is a reluctant writer, and this actually taught him and encouraged him to start writing paragraphs, which is absolutely phenomenal. So we have just started descriptions and instructions, and that is where I have pulled my 8th grader back into this. So we do it first thing in the morning. Usually, like, I'll show you what we're doing for a stack of books with my 4th grader and I in the morning. And then by the time that we are done with those kind of introduction books, my 8th grader is ready for the day. And so he comes in and we do writing together. I am really, really enjoying this curriculum. I think that it is fantastic. I love the kind of pick and choose what we want to do. So I just mark it. Let me see. All right, so this is a good example here. So 2 different days we did these little mini lessons. So I just mark the month and the year that we did it. And then we also did this exercise down here. So again, I just mark it because you are able, definitely, I mean, we are not scratching much of this. There are still so many mini lessons and exercises that we will be able to do year after year. All right, so let's get into books. So like I said, before we all come together and do writing, my 4th grader and I come in and we just kind of go over some books. We have been having a lot of fun with some picture books. So I just go to the library and pick out a stack of picture books, and every morning we read one, and it's a lot of fun. Also from the library, I just picked up this DK on this day. Now, I know I have said that these don't work for us. We just kind of get off track. That's why I decided to do this one from the library. And we're not going to be, like, if we can miss a day, we are not catching up on days. We're just, whenever we pick it up, we're going to go to that page and do it. And it's just cute, like, going through some things that happened on that day. This is talking about New Zealand rugby team, and they do the haka dance. So we actually looked up a video and watched it. So it's cute, it's fun. I will see if I buy it, but I like that we are testing it out first from the library. And then in the month of September, we finished Children Just Like Me. This is a really cute book. We had a lot of fun going through this. So you hit every continent and meet children from that continent and just kind of learn a little bit about what they eat, their family, where they might go to school, things like that. So that was a lot of fun. And then we picked up, this is my 4th grader's book, this massive kids encyclopedia. And he really wanted to go through this. We are not going to go through the whole thing. Right now, we are going through chapter 1, the universe. And we might pick another one, and then we're going to set this aside, and maybe we'll come back to it later. But it's cute. Let me show. All right, so like the first page talking about the Big Bang, and we have done talking about galaxies and different types of galaxies. Anyways, it's been a lot of fun. He's very much so my science thinker, and so he is enjoying this. And then let's talk books that my 4th grader is reading. So to start, we try to read at night. It does not always happen, but our current is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. We are actually using a different edition. So in our edition that we're going through, I have it tabbed. I think we have 3 tabs left, so we do not have much left, which is great. We're really enjoying it. I wish that we had been better this month about dedicating time to reading a tab. But it's been a lot of fun. Having my youngest experience reading the book for the first time, as opposed to like watching the movies, has been so amazing. I'm not sure what we will pick up after this. I have some books picked up. Maybe we'll just get into the second Harry Potter. We will see. And then books that he read on his own. So he read The Whipping Boy by Sid Fleischman. At first, he was not so sure about this book, but he did enjoy it. He gave it 4.5. So this, you are following a boy who has to bear the punishment of Prince Brat. And he got a kick out of it. He enjoyed it. So there was that. And then he read A Grain of Rice by Helena Claire Pittman. And this one, oh, that's right. A farmer asks to marry the emperor's daughter. And the emperor says, no, I don't think so. But here's, a reward instead. He asks for a single grain of rice doubled every day for 100 days. And so then he is able to turn that into wealth and happiness. So he really enjoyed this one and it would come and tell me every day, like, oh my gosh, he just got this many grains of rice the next day. It was fun. He did have a DNF, which that's fine. This is The 100 Dresses by Eleanor Estes. He has no interest in reading this, though I'm sure he would enjoy it if he gave it a try, but he did not want to read it. So we have set that down, and he is currently reading What Was D-Day. He loves it. He is finally kind of getting into some of these What Was books, and he likes it. So he will be finishing it this coming week. And then read alouds that we did during school. We read The Ghost in the Tokaido Inn. I didn't so enjoy this. I think I would rate it 3 stars, maybe a little bit less. He gave it 4.9. I think he enjoyed it a little bit more than I did. It was okay, but you are following a boy who is trying to figure out a mystery, and it was okay. It's set in Japan, and there were some, how am I going to word this? There were some establishments that the boy wasn't necessarily going to, but would go past, and it talks about them, not in huge, great detail, but there were a handful of times where I was like, and he walked past the business. So, just a heads up. This is part of our history, but we did spend a week reading it, so I'm going to count it, and that is Where is the Taj Mahal? And this was a lot of fun to go through. We have learned about the Taj Mahal maybe 2 years ago in history, and so he kind of remembered it, but not a whole lot, and so it was fun to really kind of dive into the building of the Taj Mahal and everything for it. So this was really good. Our current read aloud is The One and Only Ivan. My oldest has gone through all of these books, so we have the whole collection. And so being able to enjoy this with my youngest is a lot of fun. We have 4 tabs left, so we will finish it this coming week. We are listening to the audio of it, and the audio is fantastic. And so I think this will be a great week to finish it up. And then I asked him, what is your favorite book that we're reading right now that isn't necessarily a chapter book? And he said the complete book of The Microscope. This is an Usborne book. It has internet links, and he has had a lot of fun going through this and reading it with me, and then he goes off and does the links by himself. Like I said, he is very science thinky, and this is right up his alley. Now for my 8th grader. So Harry Potter, he will occasionally come and sit and listen to it. He and I have read the first one together, and then maybe the second. And he has since read the whole series on his own. But it's so fun to sit down and listen to this. I will say, I didn't mention it before, I had started reading this aloud, but I have a really, really hard time just reading aloud anyways. And then when we get to reading Hagrid out loud, I don't do it justice. So I actually picked up the audio from the library, and we have been using that. And I highly recommend the audio. The guy who does it is so amazing and has voices for every character. It's amazing. Occasionally he will sit and listen to that if he wants to, but I don't make him. Let's see. Okay, he finished one reader. And I don't have his current reader. Let me go grab it. Grabbed it. He was actually reading it, but now he is done. So The book that he did finish was The Dreamer by Pam Munoz Ryan and Peter Siss. He did give this 3.5. I thought that he liked it more than that, but that is what he did give it. Oh, that's right. He was telling me about this. So he is a dreamer. He loves words and stories. His father ridicules him, but he is brave and sets out on an inspiring journey of self-discovery. So I think that he enjoyed it. He is currently reading Across the Pond by Joy McCullough. He only has 5 tabs left, so we will see how this one goes. Oh yeah, this is a girl moves from San Diego to Scotland to live in a castle. Oh yeah, and she wants to become homeschooled. So her parents agree, but she still has to do a social activity. And so she joins a birding club. How amazing. There are not many books out there where homeschoolers are represented, and here we are. All right, then books that we read together. So we listened to An Uninterrupted View of the Sky by Melanie Crowder. So this takes place in Bolivia in 1999, where a boy who, I think he's 17, his father is a taxi driver. He runs out of gas, so is walking with a can of gasoline, is pulled over by the cops who think that he is going to be using it to make some drugs, and ends up in prison. The mom abandons the family, and so this boy and his sister are having to live in the prison with this father until they kind of figure out what to do. It is not an easy book by any means. There are some triggers dealing with his younger sister. There are quite a few swear words in this. We're okay with that in our family. All of the things that happened in this led for good discussions. So just know that going into this, but I think it is definitely worth the read. And then our current book. So for Build Your Library, we are supposed to be spending about 5 weeks reading Watership Down by Richard Adams. Now, this is our second time trying to read it. We tried to read it a handful of years ago with both my kids and it didn't work. And so I thought, my oldest he's older now, maybe this is it. We both just could not get into it. We were not making the time to sit down and read it, and we were listening to the audio of it, which is good because, there's this whole made up language that the rabbits have. And so trying to pronunciate those would not happen. So I had to figure out what to do, and I was talking to some friends, and one of my friends, her son read this last year, and they ended up at the end switching to the graphic novel. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to give it a little bit more time. Honestly, we only read 4 days, and we should have been finishing 10 days. So that's how far behind we got. We did spend some time because there's an introduction by Madeline Miller and from the author, and those were fun to listen to, but we just were not getting into it. So I decided to pick up the graphic novel. It is still quite a chunky book. It's going to take us a little over 2 weeks to finish it, but I think for both of our sanities that this is the way to go. I will hold on to this, I think, and kind of reassess when my youngest gets to this level what we will do. But for now, we are going to do the graphic novel. So he actually has already read 2 tabs. We won't read the graphic novel together, but when he is done reading tabs, I will go back and read them too. I do want to know the story. It was not a grabbing story for me. So I think that this will be a really good alternative. But that does mean we're going to finish this with, I think, about 2 weeks to spare. So what else do we read? So I was going through our shelves, and there's a handful, but I did pick this up because I don't know that my son would pick it up to read on his own. But last year for Build Your Library, we read The Giver and really enjoyed it. I remember loving it in school, and being able to experience that with my son was great. I have all the rest of the books for it. So we have Messenger, and this is a companion to The Giver. It takes place 6 years after The Giver. It is not a long book. It's under 200 pages. So I think that this could easily be read in 2 weeks. And so I think this is our top contender for it. It'd be great if I could find the audio. I am finding I struggle reading books aloud. And so if we can find audio for books, we do that. All right, so those are the books that he read. I did go ahead and ask him the same question of, what resource book are you really enjoying? And he said geography. And I said, well, you have about 5 of them. So which one? And he is really enjoying this Geography, a Visual Encyclopedia. We love these books. They are so amazing. I mean, just chock full of information and bright, amazing pictures. So he is enjoying this. That is my update. Somehow it is still a long video, but there's lots to talk about. So at the beginning of November, I will have a bigger in-depth video going curriculum by curriculum for October. We are only going to be schooling 3 weeks this month? 4 weeks this month, but I am counting, so I'm looking at the calendar. The very first week of October, we had the last day of September on the first week. So for this video, I included that first week of October. And then for the rest of October, we will school for 3 weeks, and we are going to take a week off. That'll be that update. We'll really only cover like the next 3 weeks of our school. As always, if you like anything that I post, make sure to like and subscribe down below, and I'll be back soon.